We had very little. We had a 1 4-inch 50 caliber gun. It was a deck gun, and we had two 50 caliber guns, which we used those were called aircraft guns. And now as for troops, we had Springfield rifles and Tommy guns too for the crew to use. And on the Sacramento, we call it our landing. We had 8 Marines stationed on there. They were the landing party. Whenever we went up to say like a city like Swat Tower, China, where the pirates were bothering the consulates, we sent those 8 Marines up there. It was the landing party. And usually there was about one squad of sailors with 8 Marines and 8 sailors was our landing party. And I was on that landing party one time it was in Swatow, China. We went ashore there to protect the American consulates.
And can you describe when you went ashore with that party, like what you did?
Well, we had loaded weapons. Now here's the thing. There was some kind of rule we could not leave the ship with loaded weapons, with ammunition. But when we got off on the dock, the ammunition was over on the dock, and we loaded our weapons on the dock then, and then we went into town, marched into town. But we couldn't leave the ship with ammunition. That was one of the rules they had then, back in those days, you know. But the captains knew we had to have it. We had to be able to shoot back, you know. So they put the ammunition out on the dock, and after we left the ship, we got the ammunition off of the dock for our weapons.
And did you have any confrontations with the pirates or otherwise when you were on land?
Oh yeah, one time in Tsingtao, we actually had Tsingtao, China was like a resort town, and what happened? There was a lot of the Army and Navy officers that had wives. They lived in Tsingtao, China because it was right on the beach, and it was a beautiful place. Now, the officers that worked in the Philippine Islands, that was hot and humid there, and they didn't keep their families there. They kept them up in Tsingtao, China, and the officers would come up there several times a month and visit with them. And what happened? The Japanese army was advancing on the city of Tsingtao, advancing on it. They were just about 15, 20 miles away. And when that happened, all the Chinese soldiers there, they took off, they scattered out. And all the able-bodied men, the firemen and the policemen, they all left. They ran out of there because they're afraid the Japanese army would just shoot them, you know. So then what happened, there was no law enforcement there. And the people there start looting the stores. And then these American and British wives and children that were living there, they went to the American consulate for protection. And they stayed there. So we got up there, we marched in there to the American consulate and got these women and children and brought them back to our ship and took them to Shanghai. And on our way up there, they were firing at us and we fired right back at them. And these were actually looters. They were Chinese people that we fired on, not Japanese. They were Chinese, looting, you know, running amok because there was no law and order there. And in order to protect these women and children, we had to fire on them. So we get to the Navy, get to the consulate's gate and take them out and bring them back to the ship.